Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now. Derrick Utley joins us, the man behind Flyby You, a brand that's become synonymous with quality and performance and serves up everything you need to keep your ride purring. Derrick shares how Flyby You was born, what drives his obsession with performance, and why pushing Harley platforms to the edge is more than just a business, it's a lifestyle. Let's open it up and go full throttle with Derrick Utley of Flyby You.
Now, to get into more professional racing atmosphere, talent's great, but it's really the hard work and dedication.
Right.
And you kind of got to look at, if you want to win, you got to look at the guy who's winning and then decide whether you're ready to do more than them to win.
One Gang Worldwide podcast, brought to you by Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping. Since 1978, Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping has been a trusted name in transporting motorcycles safely across the country. With custom designed pallets and air ride trailers, your bike is secure and protected every step of the way. By choosing Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping, you're supporting a dedicated small business that prioritizes quality and customer satisfaction. Ship with a peace of mind, knowing your motorcycle is in expert hands. Visit keyboardmotorcycleshipping.com for more information. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
All right, One Gang, welcome to the show. We've got Derrick Utley of Flyby You Motorsports today. We're grateful you joined us. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Derrick, thanks for coming on, buddy. This is great. This is exactly what we love to talk, is bring the small businesses on and tell their story. So we're excited to hear it. Let's just start like we normally do at the beginning, where you grew up, where your early passions were, when motorcycles kind of took first root to you.
Yeah, I grew up in a few different spots, all in Ontario, Canada. Moved around a little bit, but mostly in the Elmira and Kitchener area. I think I was trying to think earlier about how I got into motorcycles, and I was really into BMX biking, and I was on that bike all the time.
Nice.
I think that was just the next step of being on two wheels without a motor. And then, I got around to the 12 years old, and some of my friends started getting four-wheelers, and I wanted a bike, and I found a way to buy my first motorcycle. And I was actually buying and selling basketball cards, and I had built a little collection of sold them for my first motorcycle.
No kidding.
Cool. And then it was a 1983 KD80, and then I just got on that and started riding, and then it just blew up from there over the years.
Nice. Was there a defining moment that kind of changed that perception that you really you wanted to get a bike more than anything?
Well, if there's a defining moment, I think I really wanted to join the other guys that had bikes and four-wheelers, and once I found a way to do that for myself and got on that first bike, it's just no turning back from there. So I've always had a hard time describing exactly what it's like to ride a motorcycle. I don't know if I've found the right words for whatever, but it's something that you never forget, and you never let go of once you really lean into it.
And you know what we say in the industry, right? If I have to explain, you wouldn't understand. So unless you do it, man, you just can't explain it.
Oh, I just yes. Perfect. Sorry, I just got
that's okay.
Customer dropping off the door here. All right, we're good. Sorry about that.
All good. So you've been in the industry for 20 years. What was the first time or the first thing that you did where you were actually getting more involved, working on the bike, fixing and seeing that and starting to shape your path moving forward? Did you have kind of a light bulb moment, or did it just organically grow?
I think even when I mentioned that first bike had that 1983 KD80, it wasn't a new bike when I got it, so I right away had to start working on it, keeping it running, and then switched into the next bike. I got an older YZ from a friend, and then I was always working on my own stuff. The first bigger job I did is my first street bike was an RZ 350, and I think I got 2 days of riding, and it must have been running lean, knowing now the thing. So I took the motor out and took it to a shop. I think it was 16. So I started with that one, and then it had an issue again because I took the motor in, put it back in the bike. So obviously the lean running issue hadn't been fixed yet.
Right.
And then went again, learned that lesson, and grew from there. And then out of high school, I was apprentice mechanical insulator. I got an apprenticeship doing that. And then I actually met at that time, a girl whose parents owned a bike shop, and I was kind of working both. So that's how I kind of got into the first bike shop and really started enjoying it. And that's where I transitioned into deciding to be an apprentice motorcycle mechanic.
What were you all,
Right on.
What were you always mechanically inclined, or was this something that kind of, some people are just born natural and then they're fantastic with their hands? Or how about yourself? Is that something you had to learn?
I think I was always interested on how things work and like taking them apart. And,
Tinkerer.
but yeah, just having that understanding of what goes on inside things. Yeah.
Gotcha. Kind of moving forward, you worked with top race teams over the years. What were some of the most valuable lessons you picked up during that time?
I think a big one I've learned over the years when you work with younger riders, a lot of times they can really go off of their talent for the first few years. And as you get into more professional racing atmospheres, the talent's great, but it's really the hard work and dedication.
Right.
And you kind of got to look at, if you want to win, you got to look at the guy who's winning and then decide whether you're ready to do more than them to win.
Take us a little bit into your early career in regards to working for these teams. Where did you start? What team did you start with? And kind of take us through that little progression before we get into Flyby You.
Sure. Yeah. So I started in that first bike shop, and then it just happened to be that a gentleman just down the road from where the bike shop I was working at, Scott Miller, who owns Fast Company, and he's, in my eyes, one of the best engine builders in North America. Like the guy's a genius. And I started going down to seeing if I could work with him, and I was very persistent for quite a while. And he eventually ended up getting another contract that allowed him to have another employee again. And it was a really good period for me. I learned a lot from him, and he had run road race teams in the past. And the first year I was with him, we weren't running a team, but then he got an opportunity with Yamaha Canada and Steve Cregier to run their team. And he asked me if that's something I'd be interested in, because obviously it's not something he could do by himself. Right. He'd help for me and other people he'd bring in. And for sure, I was 21 then, so that was like the best idea ever for me. So that's where I kind of started with. I jumped right into the deep end. Like I was working on pro level super bikes the first time at the track.
Sweet.
So it was a quick learning curve, but I had an excellent mentor to work me through that and teach me. So I just got really lucky in that respect.
That's the dream.
Yeah. What were the motorcycles you were working on? What's that?
That first year would have been 2007 Yamaha R6 and the 2007 Yamaha R1.
R1s.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Nice.
In the CSBK, the Canadian series.
That's killer.
Sweet bike.
That's like
very cool. So going into Flyby You, what inspired you to start Flyby You? Was there a gap in the market that you saw early on? What kind of culminated into that?
I think I've always had a desire to have my own business and do it on my own and just have something that I built that's around my ideas. So I continued on with Scott for, I think I was there 6 years, 5-6 years, with a few different race teams. And then I had at that time in Kitchener, I had a house and I had a 1,000 square foot shop behind it.
Sweet.
And, Sweet. I'm going to try to do something here. And that's when I went on my own. That was in 2011. Before that, we did Yamaha with Steve Cregier in 2007. We did Yamaha road racing with Kevin Lacombe in 2008. And then we did some racing with Jordan Zoka and Honda in 2010. And then I started my shop in 2011. But I kind of transitioned away from road racing and focused a little bit more on motocross and just servicing the public in the area as well. Yeah.
Did you have a clear vision out of the gate, or did it kind of form as you went along with what exactly you'd be doing through Flyby You?
I think I thought I had a clear vision, but it definitely formed, and it's kind of let it go as things came to me. So when I started Flyby You, I took a week and built an engine table and a suspension setup, and I put an ad on Kijiji, which is, I don't know if you guys have Kijiji in the US, but it'd be similar to Craigslist. Or it was. It's not not around as much as it used to be. But I put an ad on there for $7.95, and I just had service with a smile, and I put what I could do. And that ad actually brought a lot of traffic in for my shop.
No way.
What it did is that it caught the attention of a gentleman named Gerhard Huber, who was just starting out a snowcross race team. And he reached out to me and see if he was interested in working with him and his son on their race team. And I said, I have experience in race team, going to the track and tuning, but not as I've done some snowmobile stuff, but not in that kind of level. And so you're willing to work with me. I'm willing to learn. I just have to, it's going to take a little time for me to understand it. And he was okay with that. And that's how that started.
Awesome.
I wasn't planning on being, working for snowcross teams, but that actually transitioned into a lot of years of working in the winter with snowcross and other things as well. So
that's a great deal.
Great.
Heck yeah.
What was the biggest?
What's up, One Gang? I used to think that if I spent big money on riding gear with a logo on the back, I was getting top quality. I gave Leather Up a shot. I wasn't sure at first, could I really get quality gear without spending a fortune? But after putting tens of thousands of miles on their jackets and vests, I had my answer. No busted zippers, no loose stitching, just solid, well-made gear that lasts. Leather Up carries trusted brands like Milwaukee Leather, Hot Leathers, and more, with gear for every rider and every budget. Plus, their customer service actually cares and picks up the phone, something rare these days. So do yourself a favor, check out leatherup.com. Whether you need jackets, vests, chaps, boots, helmets, or luggage, they've got you covered. And because you're part of the One Gang Worldwide family, use code CW20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Stop overpaying, gear up with Leather Up, and see the difference yourself.
Difference between the motorcycle racing team and the snowmobile racing team?
A lot more finesse with motorcycles, and it's nice to be in the summer.
Yeah,
the winter
it's not so cold.
Right. It's nice to have something to do in the winter, but snowmobiles is a lot more smashing through jumps, and now we're doing like more of a closed circuit jumping type track other than a road racing.
Gotcha.
Road course. There's a ton of differences. Now you're racing on snow where pavement's pretty consistent. It changes each year depending on the use of the track and tire temperature with the heat. But with snow, like the snow condition with moisture and man-made snow and natural snow, and the condition you're riding on is constantly changing. Even the track changes so much throughout a race, especially a race day.
When it comes to the maintenance part of it, what were was there similarities in the things that were going wrong with motors between both? I mean, kind of take us a little bit into, what were some of the major problems in the snow side and what were some of the major problems in the race side and if it had any similarities?
On the road race side, like on the race teams, we go race the bike. If you didn't have any crash damage, usually you come back, you disassemble the bike, disassemble the motor, check all the bearings, rod bearings, main bearings, transmission, anything you can do to be as fully prepared for the next race that you can. Reassemble, put on the dyno, double check everything's working okay, go back and race again. And similar type thing at snowcross where we go race, if we didn't have crash, which happens a lot more in snowcross with them hitting each other and just crashing.
Really? No kidding. Wow.
So there's a lot of late nights repairing equipment in the trailer for sure, like a lot more than there would be on road racing. And then similar, you come back, like when I was running the team, disassemble the whole snowmobile. I do the suspension and engines every week, and then reassemble, check, test, and away you go. For me, it made sense to do that because I didn't want to be, like, oh, maybe that motor's okay for next weekend, but what if there was something a little off and you didn't take the time to inspect it?
When you say disassemble, how deep are you going? Are you breaking everything down? And how deep?
Disassemble, clean, reassemble with new parts. Yeah, usually the snowmobiles, I do pistons every other race weekend, and rings every weekend.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
And usually one mechanic, that's it, just you at that point.
At that time, it'd be me, and I'd have a helper in the shop. Sometimes we had 2 pro riders on the snowcross team, so I'd have them come with me, and I have a couple more guys back at the shop with me as well. But
gotcha.
It was a lot of work for sure.
Yeah.
To say the least. Let's get back to Flyby You. Your company kind of focuses on helping motorcycle enthusiasts take charge of their own maintenance. Why is this empowerment so important to you?
I think I got to a point with Flyby You, and I was trying to just think of some different ways I could be helping my customers. And right now I do one-on-one in the shop, and I was trying to think, well, how I could do more one-to-many and really help kind of spread out the knowledge I've been lucky enough to gain with working with such great athletes and even other great mechanics over the years, and trying to find other ways to move that out to other people. So I really want to help people with their at-home maintenance. Even here, there's not a lot of shops in our area, but a ton of motorcycles, and all of us can't actually handle all the people that are actually riding. So I've been finding ways to just leverage what I'm able to give a little further. So that's where I kind of got in that direction.
Derrick, let me ask you this. When you started this, your first initial focus was on sport bikes, correct?
When I started my business?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have been, that's what I had most time working on for sure.
All right. So in that time, as a small business, obviously you got to pay the bills, keep the lights on, things of that nature. You started getting some local, were you also taking in other work like snowmobile work, things like that? Were you kind of taking in everything at this moment in time, jumping around? I mean, you got to pay the bills. So obviously, we know as small businesses that we can't just rely on one thing. We need other sources of income to come in. Take us a little bit into what transpired, because a lot of times people kind of, we talked about this, and we always talk about this on our shows. Everybody sees the final product on Instagram, on, whatever, Facebook. But to be able to keep the lights on, there's a lot of late nights, blood, sweat, and tears, taking on different types of work. Take us a little bit into that part of your business, especially at the beginning stages.
Yeah, when I started, it was June of 2011. It was June 1st actually, and I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I was just taking a swing at it and trying. So I was quite open to taking whatever I could. But like I mentioned before, I made that ad, and that I really thought I wouldn't be able to run the business all the way through the winter. So I actually took a job with my cousin building decks for the fall and into the winter. But I think it was almost the day I took that job, I got that email from, they mentioned Gerhard Huber, and that transpired into that. So then my whole winter was taken up with building race sleds and traveling with that team all winter. So I was just very lucky on my end.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, and then right after that season ended in the winter. Well, actually going back a little bit. So I started with the snowcross team. I go to the Toronto Snowmobile Show with the team, and they were using Fox shocks at the time on their snowmobile. And I wasn't very familiar with the product at that point. And a gentleman there, Rod Matichuk from RMR, who's an excellent suspension tuner who has helped me a lot over the years. He was running Fox shocks for Canada, and he was looking for some help with Eastern Canada. And so he knew me from the road race tracks. We both knew each other from having some years there, and asked if I was interested. And I said, well, yeah.
Right.
I was looking for opportunity at the time. I just started my own business on my own. I said, for sure, I'm interested in doing that. So I worked with him. He took care of all of Western Canada. Then from Ontario out to Newfoundland, I took care of any service for Fox shocks. The customers had them, so they'd ship them in to me. I'd fix them and send them back.
You must be doing something right, man.
In the look back when you're younger, just trying, and you realize there's a lot of hard work, but sometimes it's a lot of luck and just having the right people and being open to being open to ideas. Right? I think I was really open to seeing what came to me and trying to work with what was there.
That's awesome. I mean, the more you know, the more valuable you are. So I mean, that's a great thing. So kind of going back to that question, what were you taking in? Were you taking everything in? Were you taking V-twin in? Were you just taking Japanese bikes in? I mean, give us a little roundabout when you were strictly focused inside your own shop.
Yeah, I was taking some V-twin stuff. Like I even had neighbors on the street that had Harleys that I'd service for them. And then you have dual sport bikes, race bikes, street bikes, motocross bikes. So yeah, I did a little bit of snowmobile, but I was trying to focus on motorcycles because it was the spring. It was
right.
And then so I was kind of taking in a little bit of everything, trying to just to make it happen.
Got it.
That's cool. So now getting into growing Flyby You, you're taking your, traditional motorsports world and figuring out how to expand. And like you said, going from one to one to one to many, uh, bridging into e-commerce and using your Shopify store and getting your products listed and everything. In the process of digitizing your business, did you face any big challenges or any surprises in that process?
Yeah, there's huge challenges. I'm going from being a professional motorcycle technician to trying to learn how to build e-commerce stores and digital marketing and making landing pages work. And there's a lot of retraining yourself. I think it's fun. It's nice to kind of grab these new skills and work with them. But it also is a huge challenge. Like it's a totally different skill set. There's not, other than there being motorcycle parts still there, from being a motorcycle technician to being building out an online store. It's two totally different skill sets. Some stuff, I can realize, but it's a lot of things I got to learn, which has made it challenging but fun at the same time.
Yeah. Where did you go to learn those things? Was it just trial by fire? Or did you find some, creator or something that gave you some knowledge, some courses or something?
Yeah, I think you listen to podcasts like these, like only in the marketing side or in the Shopify. It has a lot of great ones. You try to pick out the pieces that are going to work for you, and then you dive a little deeper in them. With Shopify, you have so many different types of apps you can use. So you pick out which ones you might think are going to work, and you jump into them and you test them a little bit and see what might be the right setup for you. And then you got to see if it's going to work with the other thing you're trying to do. And so you got to just grab information. I don't have not like I did with the motorcycles where I got in with a mentor with Scott, and he kind of showed me the initial way. For this, it's been a little bit more of finding some information on my own. And also finding outside help as well. And there's things that are past my skill set or I can't do. I can look to find some freelancers to help me put things together too.
Right. I know that sounds like a menial question, but we have a lot of listeners that are growing and looking towards doing what you're doing essentially, and they're trying to figure out how to bridge that gap to get there. So thanks for answering that, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go into some rougher moments through Flyby You. Was there any time? I mean, you launched this in 2011, but you got that gig working with the team. Then you kind of now back into this thing where you're doing this. You're trying to help others be able to take care of. Anytime during that, like this period over the last few years, or maybe over the last 10 years, that you were kind of like, you know what, maybe I should look into something else? Or did you just truly believe in what you were doing? And why did you stick with it even through the hardships?
There's been a ton of challenges. It's like I didn't start with a big bank account to try to do it. It's all been bootstrap all through. It's always, kind of your hard work and your ideas, and you hope they hope they work out. And some do and some don't. And I think I am an entrepreneur at heart, which is great for some things and bad for others. Like you get a lot of ideas, and then really trying to make sure you're not trying to act on all of your ideas all the time.
Right.
Can be difficult. So as you get older, you start to learn that. When you're younger, you just think everything is you're going to go ahead and jump in and try it.
That's right.
So the cost been all kinds of different things over the years, and it was challenging when I was working for race teams all through the summer. And then all through the winter as well. And I also, for a time, had a suspension trailer set up, and then I'd go to motocross races in between those other races and provide suspension setup and service and tuning at the track. And then have a family as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It was a lot for a lot of years. Used to be, for sure, before I started the year, at least half of my weekends were gone right away, just with racing. And then other things happen in your life as well. So it's been a lot of time put into it. It's been a struggle trying to grow it and find the right teams and people to do what you want to do. But it's a great challenge too. And I do love the community of people in motorcycling.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love working with people. I love being around the people. I love being around the bikes. Just like any job, sometimes you might feel a little defeated or worn out, but when it comes back to it and I get to go test a motorcycle or even just hop my own, it brings back like, that's why I do this.
Right. That's right.
And just the people and the stories and the camaraderie of motorcyclists. Like it's a it's a really great group of people that I'm lucky to be able to work with and be part of.
Canada, pretty. I know you guys have a short time to ride, but is it a pretty? Do you have? You said you don't have a lot of competition around your area as far as like smaller shops. You probably just have major dealerships, right? Like Harley or Honda or whatever. And is there a lot of competition in your side for the service and repair side?
Not as much as you actually kind of hope there would be. Where I am here in Muskoka, we're like kind of the cottage country of Toronto.
Gotcha.
So there's a couple of dealers around for sure. Most of them are focused more on ATVs and some snowmobile stuff. Not as much on street bikes. And then I think we're not seeing as many young people getting into it. Although I say that, and I'm starting to see even this year a few more coming out, which is great to see. It's actually one of the daughters of a dealership in town that does a lot of ATV. She's into racing and she's looking into getting more suspension, and I was helping her with her brother's setup. So that was really great to see. I actually have another young guy coming and try to help out tomorrow morning with his bike. He seems really interested. So I'm trying to be a little more aware of the young people coming up and try to do my best to kind of help them. I got a lot of great help when I was young, so I'm trying to give that back.
No, that's awesome, man. Giving back in that community is so big. It's just, it's fun. It's funny because, in almost in every single podcast we've done for the last year and a half is just like, there's always one or two people that have influenced whoever the person was, whoever our guest was, in order to be either reach championship level stuff or get into the job that they've always wanted or to start the business that they've always needed. So I think it's so important. We help this younger generation. I think one of the fears that most people have, especially I'm in my 50s, you guys are still a lot younger, but is just the kids today are afraid to get their hands dirty. Nobody wants to put their hands on an engine and take something apart, and everything needs to be seen and done. So I'm hoping that by you doing that stuff, bringing in younger guys and girls to, who have interest, it's awesome. We just need to keep spreading this around.
Yeah, I think it's quick for a lot of us to say, there's nobody wants to get into this industry, the young people, but you also got to be, I think sometimes we get a little too busy as well, and you have to be aware if there is kids showing interest, you need to acknowledge that and try to do your best to help, even though it's tough. We all have a lot of things going on. We're all really busy. We're trying to keep a lot of things floating, but I think I'm trying to be a little bit more aware too when you do see a kid reaching out or a kid interested or something like that. Just to spend a little bit extra time to see if you can make a little difference in their trajectory in the business industry. If that's something that they like and they're in love with and want to try that pursuit.
So getting into scaling and growing the business a little bit, you've got your $7.95 ad, your service ad years ago. What have you done since you've been up and running that you've experienced some good success from? Has it been growing, social media content, or has it been a specific ad campaign or organic campaign? What have you seen success from?
For the shop, it was mostly word of mouth. Was huge. I was trying to do a really good job, attention to detail and thoroughness. Obviously, being part of professional race teams helps with your credibility for sure when you're working with them. But when it came to the shop side of it, it's always been always seemed like I got more than I can handle in the working on things. You kind of run out of time each day. And it's mostly been from word of mouth, I think, and just doing a good job and having a good customer base and having a good connection with your customers. And then they tell their good friend and they reach out to you or I can work with you and that way. When it comes to the digital side, that's going to be a whole different ballgame. When you're starting an e-commerce store, you're basically starting a store in the Arctic, unless you have to tell people to go there. No one's ever going to know what's there. So that's a huge learning curve for me, understanding how do you get people to know about you and to get people to come in and experience what you have to offer. Digitally is much different than having a brick and mortar. Like if you have a brick and mortar in a shopping area, you already have foot traffic. There's people walking by. There's a chance to come in and see what's going on. But when you're online, you got to do a lot more work to get people to come by and see it.
Yep, absolutely. There's nobody walking by.
No, nobody.
Cool.
Now, going back a little bit, you've been in this industry now for, about 2 decades.
Mhm. Which is crazy.
I know. I know. What are some of the biggest shifts you've noticed since you started to now? And you can stay into your I'm going to ask you a question after this too, but you can stay into the realm of what you know as far as whether it's the racing side, whether it's the sport bike side. What have you noticed as far as from when you got into now?
I think that 2008 recession made a big difference in racing for sure. That never really came back from. I was just starting to get into my race career leading into that, and I could see the way things were set up, even in Canada, like the race trailers that were there, the amount of funding going into it. That really took a hit on the industry, and I haven't really seen it come back. What I did see is more outside funding coming in. So people with very successful businesses that love racing, they would now fund the race teams where it was more the manufacturers funding it.
Right.
That's a big change. You did see, I think, with the way insurance is, a lot of the sport bike stuff kind of taper off, which is unfortunate because I love sport bikes and I love riding them, but you just don't see as many around anymore. That was, I think, just people couldn't afford the insurance on the people who wanted to ride them. And then once you get to the age where maybe you can afford the insurance on a sport bike, it might not be the most desirable thing for you to be.
Yeah, you don't want to ride one anymore.
The cool thing I've really been enjoying is the last quite a few years, I've focused a lot more on the Harley Davidson customer. I do buy one myself, which I would ask me 10 years ago. I don't think I would have said I would have bought one, but when they got into racing the baggers, that really piqued my interest. I'm like, now we're getting road parts on Harleys, and I think that's really brought a lot of people back into racing again, where they can go to the track, they can ride their Harley to the track, and they can watch their bikes being raced, even though they're heavily modified. I can totally understand they're not but they're racing, but it's still the same model of bike on the track.
That's right.
Yeah.
Race that they're riding themselves. Yeah. And I think that used to be around with sport bikes. When sport bikes came out, you're not seeing as many. You don't see a bunch of sport bikes showing up the racetrack like you used to. Like I've seen pictures and stories before how you got to be like used to be. Tons and tons of people could ride on their sport bikes showing up the racetrack. Now you're getting that Harley group coming in to come watch the Harleys being raced, and it's interesting for sure to watch
what they're doing now. The performance is insane. Now, part two to that question, basically what you've seen in the 2 decades you've been in this industry. What have you seen in the DIY enthusiasts from when you started to now? Because obviously you're targeting a business towards it. So.
Yeah, we see a lot of people posting on YouTube showing how to work on their own bikes. I think you're seeing more people leaning into that too, as bike shops get so busy. It's hard to, sometimes, like for my area, like if they bought a new bike, most of the dealerships are 2 or 3 hours away. So they're sometimes it doesn't make sense for them to go that far. So they might want to actually learn that skill. And I think a lot of people might just be interested in learning how to have some skills with their motorcycle. I think it's a good thing to spend a little more time with your bike and understand it a bit more. And like things like changing your own oil and,
basic maintenance is so important.
Yeah. And just being around your bike a bit more. So just hopping on a ride, and it's like you spend a little time understanding where things are, how they work. If you notice something's leaking a little bit or something's off or a bolt doesn't look right, bikes aren't cars. They got 2 wheels and, they don't hold themselves up. So
you want to hear something crazy? Dude, guess how much Harley Davidson here and Stewart charges for an oil change? Just take a stab.
You guys are in US dollars, so probably around 300.
Yeah, it's like close to $500.
Close to 5 now?
Close to $500 for an oil change.
And you're an M8, so you got meters in there.
Can you imagine that, dude? That's just
even the bits of oil goes like so expensive.
All the people need to do is just get themselves a little lift or a little jack to help, and spend maybe what, price of oil's gone up, all that stuff. But you can drop maybe like 80, 90, $100 on everything as far as what you need and do the oil change. I mean, it's not always pretty. because sometimes if, with oil spills, stuff like that, but if you got, but I'm like, wow. I mean, we used to charge, I think at my shop when we were doing that, I think we were at like $219 or something like that. That's with taxes already. And but we'd go through the whole thing. It wasn't just dropping oil and putting oil in. It was a complete. We tighten everything down, make sure. It was a full inspection type of a thing. So it's I highly recommend for anybody listening, watch YouTube videos, whatever you can do to help you send, especially with basic maintenance. It's you guys will save yourself a fortune, and you can put it into something better than paying it to the big dealerships.
Yeah, and that's something I'm trying to work on too. Like I'm actually, hopefully, next week I'll have it launched as like a spring maintenance prep guide. So I went through all the things that I used to do to prep bikes and try to put it into PDF format so I can make that available to people so they can have a little bit of a list to follow before they're getting things set up. And then I'm building out an oil change one. Every bike's a bit different, but I can get you like a pretty good general, how to what to look for and how to do those processes, and trying to make that available for people. Just to help them along their journey and learning how to work on a bike. Yeah.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical-grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the US for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a Butt Buffer for every rider's style. Get your Butt Buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
That'd be awesome. Take note. So when you're looking to change your oil, look up Derrick. You'll figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So there's often a debate between OEM parts and aftermarket. In your opinion, what parts are important to pursue OEM on, and what parts can you get away with aftermarket on?
That's a good question. There's a lot of trial and error over the years on that. I think when I first started, I would only want to use OEM oil filters, and but now for probably 10 years at least, but probably even into 15, I've been using high flow oil filters, and I haven't had one problem.
High flow's good, man.
And all those years, who's
your parts manufacturer that you order from?
Parts Canada is
Parts Canada. So they're part of Parts Unlimited and Drag Specialties, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So it's a very similar offerings. Mm-hmm. I have here's a deal with too, but they'd be one of the biggest ones for sure.
Very cool.
They're just a direct affiliate. They're direct sideline of Parts Unlimited for sure. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to listeners looking for quality parts? And what's kind of, if you break it down, would you tell a novice rider to just roll with OEM for now, or what kind of pro tips do you have for younger riders?
There's a lot of excellent aftermarket parts for maintenance stuff, brake pads, chains, sprockets. You want to stick with one of the more notable brands, because a lot of those brands are actually people who make it for the OEMs too. So it's there is some. That's a good question. How would someone sort out what parts they're purchasing are good quality or not? I think talk to a professional in the motorcycle industry, like talk to your local shops and get their opinion, because those guys know. They spend so much time off the tested stuff. I think that's really one of your best spots. You can do searching online, but you have a lot of comments from
bring opinion.
Yeah,
we have people with different opinions.
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion. You know what they say about opinions.
But you know the guys that have run a shop for a lot of years and techs that have been in the shop, you go in and they'll be able to offer you they don't want to put junk parts in your bikes. They want it looks clearly on them. They want to make sure you're getting the right thing and it's going to last for you.
Hey.
Yeah, they're sticking their neck out for you, and they're not just some keyboard warrior in a Reddit rabbit hole thread.
Hey, Derrick, let me ask you a question. You said you've been working on Harleys a lot more, and you've been kind of taking that clientele on. In Canada, like for OEM, kind of asking from Ben's question, OEM parts from Harley Davidson. I know that in the States here, and I won't even just say overall, but I'm thinking it is overall because this has been something that's transpired over the last like 4 or 5 years, is that Harley Davidson here will not sell to small shops no more. Like they don't want the competition. They won't, like if you want to buy from Harley Davidson, you have to pay retail and pay taxes. You can't be sales tax exempt. You can't get parts at a little bit of a lower price, none of that stuff. So they've completely banned the small dealers here, small service and repair shops. Is it the same thing north?
Yes, you can, like, we can buy Harley parts, but there's no discounts.
There's no discounts, right? So, and do you do it under your own personal name, or can you do it under Flyby You?
I can do it on the shop. I believe it has to be this. I usually use the same shops, so I got a connection with them, but I think they got to be careful on how far they go away from their area that they're working with.
Yeah, so it is a standard law procedure, man. You see, man, the big guy always squeezing the small guy out. That's like the part of this. I hate about this. But all right, let's get into something a little different. What's the biggest mistake? You know, you have a service and repair shop. You've done a lot of different types of bikes. What's the biggest mistake you see riders make when it comes to maintaining their own bikes?
So I got two for you. One would be, no one wants to clean and loop their chain.
I know, man, and it's so easy. Man. Just have somebody stand behind you as you push your bike, and you just spray it, roll it back and forth.
You can like just get a friend lift it up on the kickstand, like depending which bike it is. You can, Harley's a nice flat frame, so you just lift it up a little bit on a jack. If you're on a sport bike, they're so light you can just lift it up and get a friend to hold it up for your wife or whatever, and spin it and clean it. Or you can get nice jack stand. There's all kinds of ways to do it, and they're good chains, like $200-300 Canadian dollars. They're a few $100s each, then your labor. So it's worth keeping it clean and keeping it lubed for most of the life. And the other thing is just checking tire pressures and what tires cost now. When you run them low, and especially like on the Harleys, they scallop so quickly. Just to check your pressures before you go out. I know it's a little bit of a pain to get down there, and sometimes I can put a gauge on them, but it's definitely worth it. It's important. Yeah. Super important for safety and for the life of your tires.
That's the biggest thing I see down here is when I ride and I see all these bikes, and I pay attention to all that stuff, and I'm like, my goodness, it's like you got a 900-pound motorcycle, let's say like a big bagger, right? Then you got the dude and his girl on it, right? And that tire is almost on the rim.
You see it all
and I'm
the
like,
time.
you got to be shitting me, man. Like, that is the most dangerous. That's what causes, I would say, probably 80% of the accidents. And, because of low tire pressure, the bike's just not handling well.
And they're in flip-flops half the time when you see the tire pressure
those are my
issue.
favorite. Those are my favorite, man. Fucking Hawaiian bomb on an ultra bagger, and I'm like, dude, if you're gonna put your feet down to stop quickly or something, you're done. You're gonna have meat grinders. It's just so dumb with that stuff. All right, thanks for answering that question. I wanted to find out your opinion on it.
Here's a fun one, Derrick. If you had to pick one thing from Flyby You that you truly feel should be in every rider's garage, what would it be? And if that's too difficult, you can give your top 3.
Like, you asking from my online store, like what product? Is that where you're?
What tool? Were you asking tool or you asking product?
Tool, actually both, really. Tool and or product.
Well, I guess we can go back to the last question, be an air pressure gauge.
A small compressor, man. That's all you need. They're cheap.
Yeah, and then also back to the last question, like with the chains, there's a chain brush that makes the job so much easier. That grabs all 3 sides, and you spray the cleaner on, and it soaks in, and it breaks up all the grease and lube and extra lube on the chain and the dirt. You just spin the wheel and run that chain brush through. Like, I've been using that in the shop for years. Yeah, and I remember that years ago, I'm like, you get rags and everything like that. When I got that brushed, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Like, it's so much quicker, and it makes that job so much easier. And then you just take a rag and wipe off any loose stuff after, and reapply it, and you're good. So that's a really, for like your everyday rider, those two tools are definitely helpful to have.
You have a post about that, don't you? Didn't I see?
I think I prepared a video of just cleaning the chain and with that same chain.
Using that brush. That thing's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool. Thanks, man.
All right, what's next for Flyby You Motorsports? Any exciting projects, expansions in the works? What's going on? Fill us all in.
I'm really excited to see where we can go with e-commerce. We were just like you caught me at the point in my journey where I've been running a shop I've been in the industry and running a shop for almost 20 years. So it just feels crazy to that number, but that's what it is. And transitioning into e-commerce and just trying to spread that knowledge and grow that. I think there's so many cool things we can do with helping people with their bikes. And another thing I want to work on, which would be the next step after we kind of get a little more of a flow going with the store, is to start helping the athletes in a different way that they haven't been helped before. I've had a lot of time working with excellent motorsports athletes over the years, and I can see a big disconnection between the product manufacturers and the athlete because you have a distributor and a dealer in between. So they're looking for sponsorship, and there's no way for the manufacturers to really see a return on investment with that athlete. They give them product, and then they hope that they can create enough content or be on the podium enough that it generates a response to the consumer next time they need to go get an oil change that they'll use, Motul or Liquid Moly or whoever is sponsoring them. But there's no way for Liquid Moly or Motul manufacturers to actually know how much they're generating. They don't have an online store that the athlete is sending customers to with any kind of links or anything. So it's tough. Where now with Flyby You, I can work with the athletes, and that'll be a next step down the road, is to set up a system for them. We'll have their own storefront. They can
great idea.
Followers know about our products that they like using. So if they have a certain brand they really enjoy using, they can let their followers know about that. The followers can go onto their page, and Flyby You can fulfill it for them, and they can start generating an income through.
That's cool. Fantastic idea.
Just like, hey, manufacturer rider A sold this amount of product of your product in the last year. Maybe you want to look at helping them. So it puts a little bit more onus on the rider to perform, because I think a lot of times the riders get the thing and they're like, I got it. I'm awesome. Great. And I don't really have to do it anymore, but that was just the start. They really need to help that sell.
And that'll benefit both the rider and the manufacturer. That's such a good idea that we might need to edit this part of the podcast out. That's genius, man. That is a great idea. Very cool.
It's going to take some time, but just because I've been in racing for so long and I've been working with athletes, and I remember even going to races with the team, and the team owner, I'd be like, hey, we got this space at this event to showcase the race team. A lot of times this would be with Stu and Bailey Motorsports, and we'd be like, let's take our sponsor and see if we can help them. But because there's no way to connect, there's you can kind of showcase a product, but we couldn't sell anything for them. We just weren't set up that way for it. Where the online store allows me to do that using software to kind of link everything together. I think it could be a good step forward for a lot of athletes, even because sometimes too, like I've seen it with when I'm sponsoring riders with suspension over the years. It's not always the pro guy that gives me the most work. So sometimes it's just like one of the vet guys, and the vet guy, maybe he sends me like 20, 30 guys a year. I'm like, well, I'm really helping him out. The pro guy maybe just, he has the stickers on his forks, and that's great. And I'm sure I'm getting some business, but I'm not always seeing direct relation with it. So it's not always the top guys that are performing. So it gives those guys that are just starting off, they're willing to put the work in to showcase products and do a good job of it. Then the manufacturers might want to actually work with them and help them.
Great idea.
They're a little farther along. So this kind of opens up the door to some other people too.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. And you can branch out in so many different avenues. As soon as that's built and you have the concept, then you have potential for entirely different relationships between the manufacturers and the athletes. So that could go 5 different ways. That's exciting. That's very cool. All right, next question. If you could give one piece of advice to someone looking to run their own business, get involved in the motorsports industry, and turn their passion into an actual business, what would that advice be?
I think you really gotta look for a mentor, and I don't think you need like we talked before. I was very lucky to find a mentor. Like I work beside him every day,
Right.
and that is a great mentor relationship. But there's also other ways to find mentors. We're so lucky with things like we're doing today with podcasts to gather information. You can find certain people that are gathering information that you need. It's very helpful for you, and it's so kind to collect it and to put it out to the world, and just trying to find people that have done what you want to do and try to learn from them. And if you can not make the same mistakes that they're telling you, like this was a mistake I made, actually use them and try to put it into your own context. But that
learn from their words and not your own actions.
Yeah. So have something to model what you want to do after. And also I think communication and not understanding how to build a team and work within a team is huge. And it comes with time and experience and wisdom, but I think having that understanding before you jump into things, so that's going to probably be a major hurdle for you if you don't fully understand or you're not willing to be open to learning continuously through your whole life, more about how to interact with people, how to understand other people's perspectives, and how to find the right people to work with you in your team that all know what they're doing and all have the right skill sets to like turn that into a machine that works well, not the same two people trying to do the same thing. Like find the person with the skill that's going to work and make it all work together.
There's a certain amount of humility that goes into that, right?
You got to realize that you're not going to be good at everything. And
that's right.
And that's okay. It's 100% okay. And just try to lean into the stuff that you are good at and really look for the people that are around in your life or in your world or in your industry that can help you do the things that maybe you're a little short on.
Yeah.
That's fantastic advice.
Under promise and over deliver, man. You know, most people over promise and under deliver. So that's why there's so many closed doors. All right. Last question before we get into the speed round. Where can people connect with you, follow Flyby You Motorsports? Give us all your channels.
Yeah, I'd love for people to check out the site. It's flybyu.ca. Right now, we're just shipping within Canada, so just for the people that are residing in Canada, we can ship out any motorsports maintenance products. And we're just kind of getting started, so there's lots of growth to come in that. So keep checking back. And then for the socials, are on Instagram at Flyby You Motorsports and Facebook as well at Flyby You Motorsports. And you can check us out on LinkedIn at Derrick Utley. And I'm trying to keep up with those the best I can. And I'm happy to hear if people got questions about motorcycles or looking for a little bit of guidance on their maintenance, reach out to me. You can email us through the website as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, you're very detailed. You show everything. I watched a couple of videos. I mean, awesome. For anybody looking to learn a little bit, it's just a great channel. Great job with that.
Yeah, and I got lots more to do on that. Just kind of getting rolling with that end. And I need to be a little more consistent on the delivery on those, but it's all things.
It's hard, man. When you're a one-man operation, right?
At this particular time,
yeah. So it's hard, man, because you're juggling. You're trying to do, trying to make money with the service and repair stuff, and then in addition to run your online store and build that, then the social media, then family life and kids, and life outside and everything else. So I get it, man. It's not easy, especially when you're by yourself. I mean, we have a hard time. We're both working 2 or 3 jobs ourselves in addition to building a business. All right, my man. So you passed the first test with the podcast. You ready for some speed round questions?
Yeah, I'll do my best.
All right, man. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. So, all right, man. Well, let's do this. 2-stroke or 4-stroke?
Whew. That matters so much on what you're trying to do. I had 4-stroke. I like building 4-stroke. Yeah.
Carb or fuel injected?
I really like fuel injection. I like being able to tune on the laptop.
Gotcha. All right. What's the one tool in your garage you can't live without?
There's just so many. It's a good There is something about a good set of engines. You know, it's you feel in your hand the way they work. Sometimes it feels silly for spending that much money on them, but when you use them every day, it's
well worth
definitely
it.
worth it.
Absolutely. If you could ride anywhere in the world for a day, where would it be?
I think I'd like to go try doing some off-road riding in Costa Rica. I've been seeing a lot of videos of that, and I really
It's killer out there. I know, right? Yeah, for sure.
I haven't got a chance to go yet, but I'd like to try.
Have you ridden to like the British Columbia area?
I have not.
Man,
I've been out.
you got to do it, brother. You got to do it. It's
I haven't.
absolutely amazing, man.
Yeah, that's on the bucket list to go.
Oh.
I like to ride all of Canada.
Awesome. So awesome. I grew up in Boston, but so we used to take rides up into New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, and go into Niagara Falls, and then Montreal, Quebec. We did. So I did some riding out there, but I like British Columbia better. It's a little bit less traffic and less congested.
And mountains.
Yeah, mountains a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
All right. Biggest pet peeve when working on bikes.
It's keeping a clean workspace. I have a little bit of OCD on the particularness of it makes such a huge difference having things organized and laid out, especially if you have a motor apart. Have it all on rags, have it laid out, have the bolts lined up nicely, have it so it's systematic that goes back together nicely as well. I can't handle the clutter mess of going apart.
It's a good one. Worst thing someone can do to their motorcycle.
The worst, I guess, parking it in soft ground and watching it
fall down. That's so funny. That's a good answer.
The hard feeling ever to watch someone do that.
That's a good answer. I like that one. All right. If you could only ride one bike for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man, I don't know which one it'd be, but at this particular moment, I'd probably take an adventure bike. I think I could do most of all the
best
different
type
types
of rider. Yeah, because you can do it both ground and off. So it's
some trail stuff. You can do some logging road stuff. You can do road stuff. You can go camping on it. You can take a passenger. I could do long traveling with.
I like that. I like that answer too, Matt. All right. Dream sponsorship deal. If you could partner with any brand, who would it be to back Flyby You?
Right now, I'm really liking the Muck-Off line. I think they've done a really cool job with all their cleaners. Where a lot of I have a lot of oil manufacturers. I love their products and working with it too. But Muck-Off's done a little differently, where they've taken their business just around the cleaning and polishes, and they've really grown out that line more than anybody else has. And I think they've done a really cool job, and they got some really cool, innovative products.
So anybody from that company listening, see, you have somebody here that loves your products. So give them a shout.
Yeah, in the shop and
flybyu.ca. All right, ready? Beer.
Stuff on it.
Yeah. Beer, whiskey, or energy drink after a long ride?
Beer.
You a IPA guy, or you a regular beer drinker? Like, what you go to?
I do like some the microbrewery type stuff. We have a brewery here in Uttley, Muskoka Brewery, and they have some excellent.
Nice.
I don't drink a lot, but when I do,
us too, man. We're IPA guys ourselves too. Yeah. All right. What's the fastest you've ever gone on two wheels?
It said 300, but on the dyno it's 280. So
280. Okay. Damn.
Miles per hour, obviously.
No, that's kilometers.
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot kilometers.
Okay. Favorite motorcycle event of all time?
Years ago, when we used to race in Nova Scotia at Shubenacadie,
Okay.
it was a pretty crazy place to visit.
Nice.
Things have changed since then, but like in 2007, 2008, when I was out there, it was pretty cool to see all the crazy stuff going on at that place.
Right. That's true, yeah, for sure. All right. One piece of advice you'd give to a new rider, but how about as far as safety?
Yeah, when it comes to riding, I think you need to be so aware of everyone else around you. Your skill set's very important, but like you need to be on a swivel, always looking at potential things coming, like people not seeing it, people coming in front of you. You need to be so aware of that. So
Good
really
advice.
focusing on everyone else on the road is very important.
Good advice. Yeah. Favorite motorcycle movie of all time?
Motorcycle movie. Hmm. What was those old ones that I would have watched, like Krusty Demons and stuff when I was a kid? Those are the ones, yeah.
That's funny, man.
Newer ones I've seen that I think of the name on top of my head, but I remember watching those when I was younger, thinking it was pretty crazy.
All right, cool. If you weren't in motorsports, what career would you be in?
At this point in my life, I think I'd be in some kind of sales career. I'm really enjoying learning that craft and understanding how it works.
Okay, awesome.
Somewhere in that realm.
That's cool. One person, past or present, you would love to have dinner with?
This might sound a little odd, but this name popped in my head is Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because I collected Michael Jordan basketball cards. I loved basketball as a kid. I played basketball. That was like my main thing. Riding bicycles, playing basketball, and I collected those cards. But because I collected that pack of cards, I was able to sell them to a guy starting a card shop. They're all Michael Jordans. I always sorted out, bought and sold and just for Michael Jordans. And I sold that pack of cards for $500, or that box of trading cards, and that's how I got my first dirt bike. Later on in the years, I thought it was pretty cool that he started a road race team. That would have been like it must have been like 2010 area.
Yeah.
He's into racing, and now my son plays a lot of basketball, and his name comes up a lot too. So he's kind of been throughout there. And he's worked so hard, and he was very dedicated and really focused on being
the best.
So it'd be interesting to hear some more from him.
All right,
he lives down here, man. He's got a restaurant and stuff. He lives with his family
he's in
about
Jupiter.
20 minutes south of us. Our friends, their babysitter. Maybe if you come down and visit, we can.
I think he's in NASCAR now too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's part owner of a NASCAR team. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that I liked basketball. And then when I got into motorcycles, that all of a sudden he came. I remember one day, actually, the crew chief from the working for him at the time came into the shop when I was working with Scott because they were friends. So I was talking to him then. I'm like, oh, how's it like working with Michael Jordan? He was telling me about it, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a cool answer.
Ben usually says me, but besides the One Gang Worldwide podcast, are there any other podcasts you listen to?
I listen to Front Row Dads, which is all about family men with businesses.
That's
cool. It helps with perspective on understanding how to run a business and still
manage your family.
Yeah. And I have been listening to quite a bit of The Game with Alex Hormozy when it comes to
so good.
And he has a lot of good things to help me, especially with the e-commerce and building.
Yep. His school thing he does.
Yep. I've been kind of following along with him, and it's kind of unbelievable how much good information some people can find a way to put out, but it's helpful for a lot of people trying to understand how to, like when we're talking about mentors trying to find information, like you mentioned with digital marketing, with their online store, like that's some of those avenues. And if you get into a podcast with one person and they have a podcast with another person, like, oh, that's interesting. That is, modern wisdom with Chris Williamson. He's got a lot of
modern wisdom.
Yeah. That's a really entertaining one.
So those are some of the ones that I'm into right now.
Awesome.
I haven't listened to this podcast. I've got a lot of great information on this too. So
appreciate that, brother.
Nice.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You reached out,
had
some chance to do some listening on it, and it's been amazing what you guys are doing and the people you're bringing on, and it's really cool.
Thanks. We got a heck of a schedule too coming up in April. We got. I don't want to give anything away, but
don't spoil it.
But we got some big ones. We got some big ones coming on as far as the industry people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So this has been, I think like the grind of us working and building cycles worldwide as far as the global platform itself. It's an everyday grind in regards to just putting the time in. But like this podcast, it's so awesome and I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure Ben feels the same. It's so awesome for us to be able to talk to guys like yourself who are love this industry, started in this industry and stood in this industry, and now building their own business in this industry just because of passion, because, there's very few professions out there that are based basically on passion. You're not necessarily going to make gazillion dollars unless you own a few franchises, or unless you have your own parts line. Some of the guys that we have, like Paul Yaffe's of the world and so on. But most of the guys are like you, the people who chase their dreams and really want to make something and give back, in addition to by helping educate others to love their bike, love this, to be on two wheels and things of that nature. So I think that's a gratification part. This is the part that we really love, as far as spreading the word, giving back, and trying to inspire the younger generation to hopefully carry the torch after we're gone. So
I think it's awesome what you're doing, reaching out with all the different, lots of different people in the industry and bringing them together and making all those connection points. I think it's great.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
One gang, man.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
That's right. That's right. Well, you did it, man. You made it. Minute and 57 seconds. You did it within the 2 minutes.
That was close.
You might have actually set the record for the fastest speed round questions ever. So,
Well, nice.
you're going into our speed round Hall of Fame right now, and you'll be indicted. We'll send you the yellow jacket.
Awesome.
So now, but I'll say,
You're lucky if you went over to 2 minutes, we were going to make you start shipping to the U.S. immediately. So I'm glad.
and we would talk
you
to
don't
President
have to
Trump
feel
to cut the tariffs only for you, but not.
Yeah.
So, no, but seriously, man, thanks a lot for everything, man. Awesome to get to know you. We wish you nothing but success with Flyby You. We're huge fans. We're going to follow. And what we'll do is maybe sometime next year, kind of reach back out, get you back on, see what's transpired since, and you can catch us up to date. So keep kicking ass, keep dreaming out there.
Great.
And thank you very much.
I really appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thanks for reaching out to me and spending this time. And also thanks for what you're doing here and trying to connect all these people and keep the industry growing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking your time with us, Derrick. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. See you.